This video is divided into two sections. The first section will be dealing with psychological causes, whereas the next section will be dealing with sociocultural causes. With regards to psychological causes, we're going to begin with stressful life events. Stressful life events are noticed to be important and tend to precede a depressive episode as well as a manic episode. Negative life events also tend to maintain mood symptoms as well as increase time of recovery. Negative life events are very subjective in nature, varying from disappointments in friendships, breakups, failures, death of a loved one, a very criticizing or insulting friend or a lover. So it is important to know that what may be stressful to one person need not necessarily be stressful to another person. So stressful events are very subjective in nature. So careful evaluation of the history of the client will be really helpful in trying to figure out what could have been the stressor in the client's life. Stressful life events and relapse. Stressful life events may influence changes in biological rhythms, which, as discussed in the previous video, may influence to instigate a manic episode. However, research on these lines of evidence are still in its preliminary stages. Next, we're going to look at psychological factors beginning with social support. With regards to social support, a friend or a family member who tends to influence the person's social environment will indeed be a primary social support. So during a time of need, during times of recovery from any kind of illness, or during the times of remission, all of these periods are important areas wherein a person with a mental illness will definitely require a social support. However, if there is a lack in such areas, there can be frequent recurrences of episodes. So this is also evident in researchers for for manic episodes as well as depressive episodes in a host of researches supporting the idea that social support and absence of it may actually trigger a lot of episodes in the client. With regards to personality and cognition, we are going to first look at the trait of neuroticism. Neuroticism is a trait associated with defining features of negative emotional states such as anger, hostility, and anxiety. This trait has been observed to be evident in individuals with depression and mania, and is also indicative to increased symptoms of depression in individuals with both bipolar as well as unipolar disorders. Next, we're looking at cognitive styles highlighted during a manic episode. With regards to cognitive styles, cognitive qualities such as goal striving, drive, and incentive motivation may be highlighted during a manic episode. So if you're wondering why, this can be given an explanation in terms of personality. It may be related to high levels of achievement striving and increased sensitivity to rewards in the environment as noticed. Okay, and with regards to neurochemical aspects, we can consider imbalances in the levels of dopamine, which could be contributory of such cognitive patterns. So the next thing is with regards to depression. Cognitive aspects such as pessimistic attributional style tends to lead to depression when coupled with negative life events. So this may be contributory to mania as evidenced by a few researchers. So cognitive styles are very much important. The way you attribute your situation, the kind of thought processes that you have, all of it coupled together with your personality can influence and precipitate an episode. Next, we're going to look at sociocultural factors affecting unipolar and bipolar disorders. This section will discuss of sociocultural factors associated with both, because in mood disorders there are no clear-cut distinction between the two made in terms of sociocultural factors. So, beginning with cross-cultural differences in depressive symptoms. Evidences of cultural differences in the manifestation and expression of depressive symptoms are seen in different cultures. For example, in the Western countries, more inclination towards psychological symptoms such as guilt, suicidal ideation, worthlessness, and self-recrimination, which is self-blaming behavior, are more evident than other cultures. With regards to the Eastern cultures, there is more inclination towards physical symptoms related to sleep, appetite, and pain. So these symptoms might be very much evident when you're talking about depressive symptoms with regards to Western and Eastern cultures. So you might be wondering why such a difference. There is a lot of speculated reasons for such differences. So beginning with, there is more inclination of collectivistic attribution towards failure or success in a Eastern society, whereas in the Western society there is more of internal individual attribution towards success or failure. For example, say there is an instance wherein a person is caught in the act of stealing. So in the Eastern society, typical comments would be, one, what kind of family would has she come from? So typical comments would be, so humiliating the group from which the person belongs. Whereas in the Western society, it would be, I wonder what kind of a cheap attitude or nature this person has. So can you see the typical comments that are passed on for the same act in different societies? So that is with regards to collectivistic attribution and internal individual attribution. The next thing is, with regards to the Eastern cultures, they are generally not very emotionally expressive. On the other hand, in the Western cultures, they are very frank at expressing how they feel. So simple example would be, say there is an abusive husband or a boyfriend. In the Eastern societies, the wife or the girlfriend would typically say, whenever asked, are you fine? Is everything going on fine in your life and your relationship? She would typically say, oh, yeah, everything is fine. I'm fine. Which is basically she is not expressing how she feels. On the other hand, in the Western societies, you might notice comments or statements from the wife in an abused relationship, like, I'm trying to help myself through this abusive relationship, but I hope things get better soon. So typically, they are trying to be expressive, okay, in the Western societies, but in the Eastern societies, it's a lot of hush with regards to emotional expression. The next thing is with regards to stigma. There is a lot of stigma attached to mental illness, whereas in the Western societies, there are no such stigma attached to opening up, and it's often encouraged to open up, and it's often encouraged to talk about how an individual experiences such symptoms. So with regards to this, an example would be, say someone approaches to you and talks about how he or she has been hallucinating. So probably typical preoccupations of another person within the Eastern societies would be, oh my god, she's turning mad, I better stay away from her. What if she does something to me? But in the Western society, it would revolve around, hey, I think you are going through a lot of stress, I think you need some supportive counselor. So the way they approach the mental illness, that their kind of outlook is totally different compared to the Eastern and Western society. So however, you need to know one thing, and that is, nowadays with regards to the globalization and industrialization and urbanization, things are changing. So trends are really changing. So there are more inclinations towards understanding mental illness, more inclination towards expressing emotions, even in the Eastern societies. So here we come to an end of a discussion with regards to psychological as well as sociocultural causal factors in bipolar disorders. I hope you all enjoyed it and understood it. If you have any queries or doubt, kindly notify. Thank you.